Hello everyone, we are Group 3 and today we are excited to share with you our topic, the strategies for teaching literature. In this lesson, we will talk about what these strategies mean, why they matter, and how they can make literature more enjoyable and meaningful, especially in the classroom setting.
Our lesson objective is at the end of the lesson, the students should be able to compose a short essay that argues the importance of using strategies in teaching literature.
But before we will dive into our topic, let us first have our pre-activity. Our pre-activity is titled Unlocking the Word Strategy. So you are tasked to list down words you can associate with the word strategy in 2 minutes. And afterwards, you will be given another 2 minutes to compose a definition of the word strategy using the words you list down. So you can do this activity in a one-half crosswise. You can pause this video while doing the activity and then play it again after.
When we say strategies in teaching literature, we're simply talking about the different methods or ways teachers use to help students understand, enjoy, and connect with literary works like poems, short stories, novels, and plays. Why is it important? Because literature isn't just about reading texts. It's about experiencing stories, exploring ideas, and discovering different perspectives. With the right strategies, teachers can make literature come alive, so students don't just read words or a page, but really feel and think about what they are reading. Good strategies also help students improve their critical thinking, creativity, and communication skills.
One of the most common techniques in teaching literature is reading aloud. The purpose is to model fluency, emotion, and pronunciation. How to apply it? First, choose a short passage or poem. As a teacher, you have to consider your students, especially their learning levels and learning needs. So, choose a short passage or poem that suits their level. Second, read the text aloud to the class using expression, appropriate pauses, and emphasis. In reading text aloud, there should be emotional and facial expressions, changing pitch, knowing when to pause and how to pause, and whenever needed, repetition. Third, ask the students to listen for mood, tone, and character voice. Fourth, discuss how your delivery affected the meaning or emotion of the text. The goals are to direct students' attention and deepen their comprehension and appreciation of the text.
Good day everyone. Today I'll be discussing one of the strategies in teaching literature, which is choral reading. So what is choral reading? Choral reading is a strategy where a group of students reads a text aloud in unison. It is commonly used with poetry or short passages because these texts often highlight rhythm, rhyme, and repetition, which are best appreciated when reading together. So how do we use it in the classroom? There are several ways choral reading supports learning. First, it boosts confidence. So when students read together, the pressure on individual learners is reduced. Even shy or struggling students gain confidence because they are part of a collective voice. Second one, it builds fluency. Through group reading, learners practice rhythm, intonation, and pacing. Since they are not alone, they are less afraid of making mistakes and can focus on improving their fluency. The third one is it encourages teamwork. Choral reading requires students to cooperate. Groups must practice together to achieve good timing and delivery, which helps them develop both teamwork and performance skills. Fourth one is it highlights poetic features. This strategy is particularly effective in teaching poetry. Poems with repetition, rhyme, and rhythm come alive when read chorally, making the learning experience more engaging and memorable. To sum up, choral reading is a simple yet powerful way to teach literature. It builds confidence, improves fluency, promotes teamwork, and allows students to appreciate the beauty of poetry. By using this strategy, teachers can make literary texts more interactive and enjoyable for their learners.
Good day, everyone. Today, I will discuss one effective strategy in teaching literature, which is silent reading. So, silent reading is a method where students read quietly and independently. This strategy is important because it helps both build comprehension and critical thinking. So, let's dive in. So, how do we utilize silent reading in class? First, it promotes focus by allowing students to engage with the text on their own pace and without distractions. Second, it helps develop independence as students are encouraged to form their own interpretation and connection with the material. The third is it prepares students for meaningful discussion after reading. They can write reflection and answer questions as they later share with the class. Finally, silent reading support diverse learning since it respects different reading pace and learning style.
So hello everyone, we'll be discussing today the translation method. So translation method, it involves translating literary works from one language to another, often between English and the student's native language. So the purpose of translation method is to enhance his understanding and appreciation of literary. So how to use translation method in teaching literature? So first, we have to clarify meaning. Translation method helps students grasp the meaning of difficult vocabulary or literary expression by providing the equivalent in their native language. So for example, if a student struggles with a complex metaphor in English, translating it into Tagalog or another Philippine language can make the meaning more clear. And another one is explore language use. So students compare literal and figurative language across languages, understanding how different languages express same ideas. So for example, comparing how idioms are translated or adapted in English and Cebuano can reveal interesting differences in cultural expression. And another one, cultural awareness. So translation encourages discussion on cultural differences in expression or interpretation, promoting a deeper understanding of cultural nuances. So for example, translating a poem with a specific cultural references, for example, traditional Filipino costumes, can spark discussion about how these costumes are viewed and expressed in other cultures. So another one, grammar practice. Translating literature reinforces sentences structure and vocabulary while deepening literary understanding. So for example, by translating English sentences into their native languages, students practice grammatical structures and expand their vocabulary in both languages. Class. Students translate a short poem in their own language and discuss how the meaning or tone changes. So for example, students translate an English poem into Bisaya and discuss it if the tone can be maintained. So that is all for translation method. I hope you learned and understand what is the meaning of translation method. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you gain some knowledge about translation method.
Now that you have already learned what is and are the strategies of teaching literature, let us test your knowledge. Let's read the scenario. Your co-teacher in English teaches literature by simply presenting the information from the textbook. You observe that this causes her students to unconsciously let their minds wander, and as a result, they do not learn well. You suggested using strategies in teaching literature, but she replied that she does not know any and believes they are not important. Now here what you're gonna do. In your one hole, write an essay that counters your co-teacher's belief. In your essay, argue why strategies are important in teaching literature and explain how they can help students learn better. You will be given 15 minutes to fulfill this activity. Now here's the criteria for this activity.